As a man thinks, so he is. Part 3. By the time we are done with this short series, I will be taking all of the interpretations word for word, and we will do one segment containing the full extraction of this verse. That way we can keep breaking down each word in bite-sized pieces, letting each morsel digest for a bit before the full enchilada is given. As I'm saying this, I can tell that I'm hungry. However, keep in mind that this is connected to the bride and wife, having to do with the breadth, width, height, and depth, separating us out and connecting us together as those who are becoming in the likeness of God, just like Yeshua. Now it's time to address the word sha'ar, he thinks. As this word stands, it has no additions or deletions from the root, so it is static in nature, full of potential, like a lump of clay that is set before the potter. It has to do with your heart, the root of your being as connected to source, our place of origin. So it is very personal to us and is fully up to us to express and activate this word in our life. Sha'ar has a lot of substance to it through its many definitions. We extracted much from ki and kimo already that will help bring about more clarity to this word and its importance. Through definition, sha'ar means to split open, to act as a gatekeeper, and to estimate. Its root means an opening, door, or gate, and it also carries the meaning of a janitor or porter. It even carries the meaning of the price established at the town gate, which speaks of boundaries or limits. This is the definition given as it appears through the plain text. But there is much more here than what appears with just the surface reading. To save time, as I don't want to lose too many of you if it gets too wordy, I have shown you some of the excavating techniques that we use to examine the scriptures in order to find their full intent as we study in the previous two teaching segments, part 1 and 2. So instead of doing a letter-by-letter examination, I'm going to give you the interpretation of this word through the many components and constituent letters that form this word, including words formed within this word. Before I do so, I can say that by studying this word and all of the coded information it contains, it has specifically to do with our emotions. Here we go. I am the gatekeeper to my emotions and what I think about, and I will set up boundaries and limits as I know that the emotions come with a price. It is up to me to inspect and consider the implications of what I feel, whether it is rage, things that horrify me or make me tremble and shudder, or even if it is something that I am feeling compassionate towards. I need to consider whether I need help with what I am looking at to determine whether I should be a porter and carry this baggage around with me, or become a janitor that will know what to clean up and clear out. I also need to consider whether or not to help those whom I feel compassion for. My emotions are a gateway, and I need to be my own gatekeeper so I can contemplate whether they are splitting me or opening me up, and then figure out the cost of these emotions, as I'm the one to establish this as I begin to consider what they are doing to me. My emotions can be an enemy and foe, but they can also be useful to wake me up. It is also possible that they can consume me if I choose to see them through the material world in a lesser state through a beast mindset, or choose to have them spiritually grow me up so that I can become an heir as royalty. I know that they are only temporary, lasting for just a short while, a moment. I need to be compassionate towards myself when I experience emotions where I find myself in amazement or bewilderment, as I know that in time, they are just a moment passing. When I stop to identify with my emotions whether I will allow them to consume me or I will consume them, it gives me the ability to see their purpose as a refining fire so that I can raise myself up out of being one that has no skill in processing them to one who will rise up and be in charge of them, recognizing that they are just catalysts in learning so that I can be a master over them, my own sovereign being, no longer ruled by them, but as one who rules over them in my own domain. Now let's address the next word translated as in his heart. Another translation used the phrase within himself, which would actually be more accurate in this case. Leb is the Hebrew word for heart, which they didn't use here, but rather further on in the verse they do. Instead, they use the word nephesh, and in its static form, as a word full of potential energy, it means a breathing creature as it pertains to a soul, living being, life, self, person, desire, passion, appetite, and emotion. This is really the establishment of the place of separation, self-identity that can be manipulated through the beast ego nature. The root of nephesh means to breathe or breathed upon, including to be refreshed as if by a current of air. This connects us to the ruach, the Hebrew word meaning breath, wind, and spirit. The spirit, ruach, is also the spirit of a living being through its expressions and functions. You may have heard the phrase Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit. Really, it's the sanctified spirit that breathes upon you. And as a side note, the spirit is actually represented by the aleph and the hey. The aleph as the breath in, and the hey as the breath out, the spiritual breath that makes us living. What this word is speaking to us then relates to our soul and our spirit of the living being, the place that has desires, passions, and appetites, and emotions pertaining to the flesh and the spirit. This is also the place that gets manipulated by the beast ego nature. In written form, we can see that we have an added bet to the prefix and the vav to the suffix. So building our spiritual temple is what we are led to do through Mother, is directly connect to the soul and spirit so that we can connect to Father. Let's take a look at what this is speaking to us. And again, I'm going to make this personal to me as an example of how these verses should sound like as we speak these treasures over us, knowing that the very letters that we are digesting spiritually will perform their work in us as we activate our heart brain through our declarations. Through metaology, we have this. Through the Spirit, I will build my temple from the inside out through the process of covenant, making a compact with myself. In this process, I need to stop periodically and ask myself if what I am doing is a vanity, as vanity will lead to my destruction and ruin, as it does have the potential to consume me. Is this of the beast ego or not? I must consume this nature so that I can turn and connect back to the family of one on my spiritual path found within the material world of flesh. I will have to continue to wrestle this in what I do in my daily activities, so that within me I will produce the nature of sovereignty. I have found my way through the sacred languages that speak of things that are not of this material world and its base elements, but rather what is being truly revealed, that the world of chaos and separation is vain in nature, and in reality I am one with everyone and everything. This thought alone refreshes me as I feel the Spirit breathing the truth within. I will continue to consume these words, this language of revealing, which will give me the power, means, and direction to deal with my fallen flesh nature, as I have recognized that this is my blessing, a gift of God, so that I can erect the 4 walls needed in building my temple. I have connected to Father's teaching in meekness, so that my temple can be filled with all that I have dreamed of, aspired, and hoped to become, as one who has been set apart and set above, for a purpose of attaining the right hand of power as one who will give and not take. I have been breathed upon by the Spirit, who has refreshed me, now as a living being that feels emotions from the place of the heart. It is through my personal desires, passions, and spiritual appetites that I will continue to build my vessel my temple, as one who will walk in meekness, having my own power under control, no longer doing things in vain, but rather experiencing the intimacy found within my connection to Father, as I am no longer a beast. Shalom. Shalom.